guys, it's Cece, and today I'm here to recommend some books to you. So today, in case you didn't read the little title, I'm going to be recommending some LGBTQIA plus books. I have 10 recommendations to share with you of various queer books with queer lead characters, so let's just jump right in so I can talk about them. The first one that I want to recommend is Empress of the World by Sara Ryan. This is a book that features a bisexual protagonist as well as a bisexual love interest. It follows a girl named Nicola, and she goes to a summer camp for like advanced smart teens, and there she meets a girl named Battle Hall Davies and they begin to fall in love. But as I said, they are both bisexual. They have both experienced attraction to men before, so they're very insistent about the fact that they identify as bisexual. The romance in this book is super, super cute, but it also has such a frank exploration of sexuality, and it's a great book in general that I don't feel gets enough hype. Next one that I want to recommend is Honor Girl by Maggie Thrash. This is a graphic memoir. It talks about Maggie's time going up to summer camp. Another camp story. It talks about Maggie's time going up to summer camp and coming to the realization that she is a lesbian, and it just talks about her relationship with some of the other girls there, what it meant to be gay at that time, and it gives such a sweet summer camp vibe. Like, there's a lot more going on, and there's some stuff that's harder to read about. Not too hard, this isn't super angsty, but she faces some challenges. But it just gives such a vibe of summer camp, and it makes such a cool reading experience. The art style is a little odd. It might not be what you're expecting, but I promise that you will still enjoy a really great story from Maggie if you pick up her graphic memoir. The next book that I'm going to recommend is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan and McGuire. This book has been making its rounds around BookTube, but I must recommend it always. So before I tell you what this book is about, this book features an asexual protagonist as well as a trans side character, and both of those identities are discussed and on the page. So this is a fantasy book. It's almost novella length, and it's about these kids who have gone through doorways and traveled to magical worlds, and now they have come back and they don't know how to deal with it because that other magical world was where they felt they truly belonged, and so now they all go to this home together to try to cope and reassimilate with the real world. There's such a great exploration of gender expectation and expectation just in general, being the perfect child, sexuality, relationships. It's such a fantastic book, plus there's a little hint of a murder mystery plot. So if you are looking for a book with an asexual protagonist but has a really lush, beautifully written story and a little bit of fantasy to go along with it, then I recommend this one. The next one that I'm going to recommend is Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. I have done a full spoiler-free review for this book if you would like to go check it out. Basically, it follows our lead character, Jessica Tran. This takes place in the future, like a little ways down in the future, where a lot of the population has developed superpowers due to some sort of event that is discussed in the book. So a lot of people have superpowers, and two people who have superpowers are Jessica's parents, which means that she expects to get superpowers and is super disappointed when she doesn't. To make up for the fact that she doesn't have superpowers, she decides that she's going to go out, she's going to get an internship and prepare for her future. But when she gets to this internship, she discovers that it is for the town's supervillain. Not great when you're the child of the superheroes, plus it means she has to work with her crush Abby. So this book, as I have mentioned numerous times before, is about a bisexual Vietnamese main character. It is Own Voices. It is beyond fun. It is the most fun I've had reading a book potentially this year, like at all. It embraces the tropes of the superhero genre, but it makes it fun and fresh and enjoyable, and I cannot wait for the next book. Jessica has a best friend named Bells who is trans, and the next book is about him, and I cannot wait for it. The next one that I'm going to recommend is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. This is Own Voices trans fiction. It was written by a trans woman author and has a trans girl as the main character, plus that is a trans girl on the cover. So Own Voices as hell. This book is basically just a YA contemporary in which Amanda has moved to a new school because something went down at her previous school that she doesn't need to deal with. She's just sort of integrating into this school. She doesn't really want to talk about the fact that she is trans, and then she's also starting to fall for this guy. So this book does have the plot of a fairly standard YA contemporary, but the fact that there is a trans girl main character is discussed with nuance, and it makes the story much more impactful, so I highly recommend this one. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Almost Like Being in Love by Steve Kluger. This is a book about two boys. It takes place at two different time periods 20 years apart. One is in high school when Craig and Travis are first falling in love, and one is 20 years later after they have had some sort of breakup. They've been apart for a long time, but one day one of them wakes up and realizes that the reason his life hasn't worked out up to this point is because he is still in love with the same boy he was in high school. So he goes on a cross-country journey trying to track down this boy that he loved, and he's preparing to tell him how much he loves him, and it follows both of those things, plus it is full of multimedia elements. That's mainly how the story is told, through memos and emails and such, and then occasional just regular narration. This book is super cute, like tooth-rotting fluff. It is just adorable, and the romance is really, really sweet. It's great to see how echoes of their relationship when they were teenagers comes into the relationship or the people that they are as adults, so I definitely recommend this one as well. So the next one I want to talk about is Any Way the Wind Blows by Carlin Grant. This is only available as an ebook. It was published by a small publisher that publishes a lot of asexual fiction, so I will leave the link to where you can purchase this. This is just a short story. It's like a novella, basically. It follows this girl. She's a farmhand. She moves from place to place. She is asexual and aromantic, and then she comes to this new place and she meets this woman, and she feels sort of a connection with her, just someone that she feels that she can really get along with, and it just follows that connection and how they start to interact with one another. This is a really great story that I think highlights how easy it would be to include asexuality in fiction. It's really quick to read, but it is a really enjoyable story in general, so definitely check out this one. The next book that I want to talk about is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. I just barely posted a spoiler-free review for this book, which I will leave on the screen so you can go and watch it. This book does not come out until November 22nd, but the date is approaching, so get ready for it. This book basically follows a girl. Her name is Princess Denna. She's the princess of a foreign kingdom, but she's been engaged to this prince, and she's going to seal the alliance between their two families. However, when she gets to the kingdom, she starts to fall in love with the prince's sister. There's a lot more to it than that, a lot of political intrigue and mystery that's going on, plus a lot of horse riding. But the romance between Denna and Mare is so well written, and there's full of like so much tension as you get to see the little bits and pieces of their relationship come together. Plus, this is a fantasy book wherein the problem isn't that Princess Denna is falling in love with another princess, it's that she is falling in love with someone who isn't her betrothed. It's not really an issue that anyone is queer in this world, so that's another big plus. Plus, this is Own Voices, so definitely look for it on November 22nd. I absolutely loved this book, and I cannot wait for other people to get their hands on it. The next book that I want to talk about is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I have talked about this a variety of times before, but I've never recommended it in a queer recommendations video, so that is why it's here. This is a book that follows a black woman named Celie in the early 1900s. It initially follows her relationship with her sister Nettie, but it spans a lot of years, just describing Celie as a character and the experiences that she has, as well as the fact that Celie is a lesbian and has a relationship with another woman in the novel. It is supremely well written. A lot of people have a hard time getting into the writing style of this book, but I think that you should push through it, and once you read the first, 20 or so pages, you get used to the writing style and you get used to the characters. And Celie has become one of my favorite female characters of all time, so I definitely stand by this book, and I'm just gonna keep telling people to read it because I adore it. The last book that I'm gonna recommend to you today is Style by Chelsea M. Cameron. This is another book that you can only purchase online. I will leave the links to all of that down in the description below. Basically, this is just a super sweet love story, and that's kind of it. It's like a YA contemporary, but with, happy lesbians. It's just fluffy and sweet. It follows these two girls in high school, and they have to do a project together, and then they start to fall for one another. Like, that's the entire plot. I love the way that their relationship develops, and I love the fact that this book just has all of the tropes and conventions of YA contemporary romance, but it's between two ladies. It's sweet, and this is the kind of lesbian fiction that I would like to see more of. Plus, also, this one is Own Voices as well. So yeah, definitely check out Style. Okay guys, there you go, that is it. Those are all of the LGBTQIA+ books that I have to recommend to you today. There will be plenty more in the future, I'm sure. I'm always looking for new sci-fi fantasy queer fiction, so if you have a favorite sci-fi fantasy book that has a queer main character, please let me know down below what that is. Additionally, I will leave the link to my full LGBTQIA+ shelf on Goodreads so that you can go through and see all of those books. And I have a sort of running post on Tumblr of a lot of queer books that you can check out, which I will also leave linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you have found a couple of new books to check out, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!